Welcome to another MusicWorx Alumni Update. This is MusicWorx Intern number 123, Hannah Glass and Darling. Today I am interviewing MusicWorx Intern number 114, Orion Boucher, who interned in 2012 from July through December. So Orion, what's your current job right now?
Well, I have a few different music therapy contracts. In addition to performing a couple of times a week, I have some weekly gigs, so a lot of different stuff here and there to kind of constitute what my job is. A lot of, smaller part-time things. With MusicWorx and Resounding Joy, I run the Semper Sound Band at Camp Pendleton, and I do a few other geriatric groups as well. And in addition to that, I have another music therapy contract at St. Madeleine Sophie Center in El Cajon. It's a school for developmentally disabled children, adolescents, and adults. And as I mentioned before, I play a couple of times around town every week with two different bands. Yeah.
Oh, keep yourself busy, it sounds like.
Yeah, busy but happy.
Would you say that MusicWorx helped you get where you are today?
Yes, most certainly. Most certainly. Not only because I picked up a few of my contracts through MusicWorx directly, but the skill sets I developed during internship have just, made me exponentially a better music therapist, and I think more than anything more professional as far as time management and demeanor, even dress, all of that. I definitely made a lot of progress in those areas during internship, to say the least.
All right.
Yeah.
So what drew you to the MusicWorx internship?
Well, a number of things. At first, I had decided that I wanted to move back to California after graduating in Boston. I'd had enough of the East Coast for a bit. So location was one of the first main draws, and the chair of the music therapy department at Berkeley, Karen Wax, suggested this internship to me. And at first I was like, Southern California, I don't know, not so much my thing, but I looked into it more, and one of the things that first caught my eye was just the huge amount of different experiences that are available to interns here. And then as I looked into it a little bit further and started contacting people like Rebecca Vaudrey, just with a few initial questions, I learned that as you become a senior intern, it's called, in your last 3 months of internship, you really kind of get to design what you want to do more. And that includes, of course, the senior project that we're all very well aware of. That's just pretty much self-driven, and you get to choose your own sites more and really branch out of what you're doing to begin with. And so I wanted an internship that wasn't really localized to one population, but more gave me an overview of as many different ones possible, so I could see which ones I connected with. I could see new populations I've never worked with before, things I might enjoy about that, and then start to kind of build the scope of where I wanted to take myself as a music therapist.
So it sounds like that level of independence was also important to you.
Yeah, right. I think it's definitely a good combination of autonomy and structure with this internship. You're really managing your own time and your own schedule most of the time, but you do have places you have to be and things you have to do within that.
All right. So you told us a little bit about what you had hoped to get out of your MusicWorx internship. How about, once you got here, what was your favorite moment being in your internship?
Yeah, a few come to mind for me, really. The two performances that I did as an intern with the Semper Sound Band were incredible. It was so gratifying to see these folks that I'd been working with for, between 1 and 3 months. Some of them who were not musicians at all at the beginning of that. It was so great to get on stage and perform with them and, see their reaction. And it really reminded me of my first experiences performing in a lot of ways, helping a lot of them with their anxiety beforehand, and then just that feeling of relief that everybody had afterward. something that I definitely connected with from, my first experiences performing. And another really amazing moment, was just my case study at the hospital. I don't want to get into it too much, of course, because I don't want to, give out too much information about this person, but she had many different health problems at the hospital, and it was cool to see how music could address each of those and work in conjunction with other forms of treatment she was getting at the time.
Wonderful. Wow. Okay, so you've already told us a lot of what you've learned at MusicWorx, but what aspects of what you learned here prepared you for your career today? I know you mentioned the Semper Sound Band you did as an intern, and now you're leading it. So perhaps you could tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I'll speak to that specifically for a bit. Definitely as an intern, I learned what it is like to run, I guess what I would call like a recreational music session, or, you know, basically people playing music together is what it comes down to. But it's you know, obviously has therapeutic aims and all of that. It transcends just being a simple jam session. But I learned a lot about how to work with individuals and give lessons and, you know, adaptive lessons for people that have had brain injuries or might have something wrong with one of their limbs or something like that. And also, as far as ensemble group directing, I learned how to kind of take charge. You know, I wasn't much of a take charge sort of person, not very loud. I don't, you know, my angry voice doesn't really exist. But that's something that, as an intern, I got to work on. And now, post-internship, in these months that I've been working with the Semper Sound Band, I'm trying to find my own, you know, I guess, my own way of, doing all of that as a music therapist.
Okay. So you mentioned you kind of struggled finding your, well, not necessarily your angry voice, but like leading. What was a big challenge for you, or your biggest challenge at internship?
I think it was just that in a lot of ways. And that came up a lot in the Scripps substance abuse program. You'd often have people, because a lot of the times with people who have substance abuse problems, when they go to a form of treatment like that, they might kind of revert back to the age they were at when they started using. So you have basically a bunch of teenage boys and girls sitting in the room, and there's going to be a lot of disruptions. You know, you're doing relaxation and there's people talking all the way through. You're doing creative arts and there's people not participating or like drawing inappropriate things or making drug references and all of these other things that are just, you know, completely counter-therapeutic. And so that was something that for me was quite a challenge at first, being in front of a group of like between 20 and 30 people and having to say, hey, everybody, let's basically shut up for a little bit. Not quite in those terms, but yeah, that was just the whole take charge, be authoritative, be a leader type of thing was a big challenge for me at first. And I'm still learning, but this internship really helped start to turn that around.
Wonderful. That's great. So what has been the biggest aha moment of your professional or personal growth up to this point?
I had definitely a number of them in internship. I wasn't a great singer when I first started here. Still not incredible. Like, I wouldn't hire myself to be a lead vocalist or any of that. But one of the big aha moments for me just came through singing a lot, and I'd practice on my own. You know, I'd sit down with the keyboard, I'd do interval recognition, I'd harmonize with the note I was playing, and basically the aha moment was that I realized that I need to practice the voice as an instrument in its own, especially because I'd really not done that much before internship. Like, I took one vocals for the non-vocalist class while at Berkeley, and that taught me, you know, breathing technique and all of that, but I still didn't have great intonation or tone or any of that. And yeah, so I guess bottom line, the voice is an instrument just like any other. You need to put in the time with it.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. All right, so last question. What would be one piece of advice you would give to future MusicWorx interns? Or even current ones like me.
Yeah. Certainly. Well, let me think about that for just a little bit.
Sure.
Really, I'd say, and this comes from experience, that if something is difficult at first, don't just chew it away and say, oh, I'm not good at that, that's not me as a music therapist, I won't work with that population, I won't be able to do that technique, whatever it is, because, again, through practicing and doing things in practice, furthermore, with people, you can overcome obstacles. For example, I didn't really know much about toning before, including using a toning bowl or any of that, and Yeah, I definitely had some moments in the substance abuse program or the integrative medicine where we were doing toning and it was my turn to do the bowls and I just didn't do them right at all. And basically, those moments of messing up can turn into growth. It's not like, oh, I messed up, I'm never going to be able to be good at that. It's, oh, I messed up, now that's an area I know I need to work on. Yeah.
That's inspirational.
Yeah, well, thank you. I do what I can.
All right, well, thank you so much for talking with me today, Orion.
Yeah, thank you, Hannah. It was a pleasure.